Hey y'all, welcome back to Right at the Wire. Today we're going to be looking at the Fountain of Youth Stakes. It's a Derby prep for 3-year-olds at Gulfstream Park this Saturday. So let's have a look at the players. The Fountain of Youth is a Grade 2 stakes for 3-year-olds run at a mile and a 16th at Gulfstream Park. And if you look at the configuration, as we always do, you'll see it's run pretty much on at the beginning of a turn. So the horses are going to encounter a turn fairly quickly, and thusly the inside horses may have a tactical edge. This is a 10-horse field, so those 7, 8, 9, 10 posts might encounter a little bit of trouble getting to where they want to. So we just want to keep that in mind, as we always do as we move forward. Just a note before we start looking at the contenders, if you look at this field, there's a lot of question marks in this field because you've got a lot of horses coming off layoffs. You've got horses moving up in class. There's a lot of different variables that give you concern. So I think the theme of this race is kind of defy convention a little bit, and I think we have to find ways to really find value and create winning opportunities for us, because I think it's not quite so formulaic, and you'll see what I mean as we go through the field. So let's take a look at it. Number one is General Jim in the one hole, trained by Shug McGahee, who was notorious for putting his horses in races where they can win. And he has that luxury because of patience, because his owners are very understanding. The Phipps stable, most notably, Cortland Farms, Joseph Allen, amongst others. So he can take his time, and horses can get. He can work with them and develop them to get optimum performance. I think he's got one here. Into Mischief and Curlin on the bottom. I think he's 2 turns isn't going to be a problem. He's already got a couple of wins on turf at a mile and a 16th, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. That last effort in the Swale was really what sold me on this horse. He had to be set down and put away Super Chow, who's a really nice sprinter, and he had to show a lot of grit to do it at 7 furlongs. So the fact that 2 turns isn't a problem for this one, and the fact that he's coming off a career high effort and seems to be moving forward, I think he's a logical win candidate in this case, given some other reasons that we'll get to later. And I think he's a liberal use up and down, and the win ticket, and 6-1, that's a pretty good price. Legacy Isle we saw in the Holy Bull. This one really doesn't want 2 turns. I think they tried to rate this one last time, and even with soft fractions, he still couldn't really hang around and factor. Was on his left lead late. That shows you that the horse was tired. Really doesn't want 2 turns. I think this one's a pace factor. Going to go as fast and as long as he can, and neither one of them will win this race. So he's a toss for me. Shadow Dragon had a nice effort last time in the Holy Bull, was gaining ground. You always love to see that. You figure the next race they'll put him over the top. Problem is here, he only got an 81 buyer. Now, it was a 30-point improvement from his previous effort. However, can you expect that again? I doubt it. Will this horse improve in the next start? More than likely, yes. He's by Bill Mott and second off the layoff, which is always a really good spot for Bill Mott horses. And so I expect this one to move forward. I just don't think it's going to be enough to win here. I think at the bottom of the try, maybe even in the exacta or the superfecta, given this horse's late running style, there's not a lot of pace signed on in this one. So I think that's likely the ceiling for this one. But I would definitely consider using it, particularly if you can get 12-1 or better. Forte's the horse we've all been waiting to see, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champion. Everything looks go. You know, the great pedigree. He's by the his dam is a member of the La Troyenne female family 1X. You cannot get any classier than that. He's by great connections, Todd Pletcher, Rod Ortiz, and he's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Champion. But he hasn't run in 4 months, and the work tab is a little on the spotty side from all accounts. There's a couple of works there that were sort of lackluster. And so it gives me the impression that he won't be tuned up all the way for this race. Certainly, Pletcher does not have the Fountain of Youth in mind when he was training this horse. He's thinking about the Kentucky Derby. I think this horse gives him a good warm-up. The Florida Derby, he tunes it up a little more, leading to an optimum performance in the Kentucky Derby. I think that's the game plan. So is this a great time to try to beat Forte? Absolutely. Especially at 7-5, which will likely get knocked down to even money or worse. I think you've got to use him. If he comes out and runs like he did last year, he wins this race easily. This isn't the greatest of fields, so you can't not account for him. However, I think it's realistic that we could get a scenario where he could be beaten. And so he's a must-use. You definitely want to have tickets on top for your tries and supers. Hopefully you can get some value underneath with him. But you got to use him for sure. Il Miracolo, I really don't get this horse at all. I think the owners have delusions of grandeur. This one has time and again demonstrated that he doesn't want two turns and he doesn't want it at the graded stakes level. And I think he's a total toss. The longer horses do something they don't like, the worse they get at it. And you can see, I think this one's a candidate for last place, and that's it. So he's a toss. Blazing Sevens, much like Forte, had a good 2-year-old campaign, but he is debuting at 3. We've seen a lot of 3-year-olds debut this year who were good at 2 and be disappointing. This one I was never really that high on, except for the name. I think is cool, but he's got Warrior's Reward underneath, and that's kind of sprint. So it 2 turns to me isn't a lock. And he did it last year, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He got a 4th, decent enough effort. But I don't know. There's still some chicken on the bone here. I mean, I just don't know. This one I'm just not completely sold at. And it's 7-2, debuting at 3. I almost want to toss and just try to find more value with somebody else who's been running. I think he's a good horse. I think it's within his capability, if he runs back to what he did last year, to definitely factor in this race. But the fact that there isn't a lot of pace and he's a late runner compounds the issue. Plus, Joel Rosario is riding pretty poorly right now. It's a lot of people talking about how badly he's riding, so that doesn't help things, in my opinion. And I'll probably toss just to try to get some more value. I can see using him for sure, but I just, I think we need to think about, let's get value. Let's try to find some more now horses than ones that are building towards a race down the road. Chad Brown started with Karl Navsker, and that's what he used to do, point to races and had a plan. I think this is a stepping stone. The Fountain of Youth is much like it is for Forte. The Derby is the end game. I think that's the when he wants to have the optimum effort. So it's a good time to catch him and try to beat him. So for those reasons, I think I probably will toss. But if I have to use him, it'll be defensively on the bottom of the exotics. Mage, I think, offers a really great opportunity to pick up some value and steal one. This one definitely shows some talent. He's by Good Magic and Big Brown underneath. And he's got Javier Castellano on him, who's been riding really well lately. So there's some good things to like. One is maiden pretty convincingly. And 7 furlongs is not an easy distance, particularly to do it on your debut. So I think that speaks to his quality. A second start with a legitimate improvement could possibly win this race. It is a big ask to move into graded stakes company, but this isn't the greatest field. So maybe this is a good chance to give it a shot. And I think this horse could get on the lead and steal it. And I think that he's an excellent win candidate, and I'm going to use him liberally in my tickets. And without a lot of other speed signed on here, I think he has a very good chance to wire the field. And at 8-1, I like that a lot. So he's one we're gonna use. Rocket Can, another one, kind of like Shadow Dragon. You know, they pretty much almost ran the same race last time. Won the Holy Bull. Did so with an 82 buyer, though. You just can't get past that. This horse has grit. That was not an easy ride last time, 4 wide, and to be able to hold on and win. He had to do a lot of running, lost a lot of ground. So that was a really premium effort, riding wise. But that top end is just really light, and you can't overlook it. If he makes another move forward and Mott's second off the layoff, it's definitely possible. I think he's a contender here. I think because of his competitiveness and his grit, I think in the exotics he's a use, but I don't like him on top. I just don't think he's fast enough, and really that's the bottom line to it. Cyclone Mischief to me is kind of representative of this field. He's got a lot of question marks. Good God, he's either runs a good race or a bad race, and it doesn't seem to be an in between. That Holy Bull last time was just awful. He had no excuses whatsoever. He was in prime position to take control of the field and win it, and he just backed right up. No idea why. I haven't heard any explanation as to why. He seems to be on that good race, bad race pattern. So if that's the case, this is a good race coming up. And that's the problem with Cyclone Mischief, is you just sort of never know. Now, I'm happy to get him at 12 to 1. I'm a lot happier using him than I was in the Holy Bull. And I think he has the talent to win this race under the right circumstances. And who knows, if you catch Forte and Blazing Sevens not at their optimum, he could very well pull it off at a nice price. So do I want to use him? No. Do I think you have to use him? Yeah. And so he's a liberal use for me. But you have to go beyond crossing your fingers. You need 18 million rabbit's feet and a lot of help to be confident about this one. So yeah, he is what he is. Dangerous Ride, I think, is very similar to Il Miracolo. He's done a lot of running. He's coming off his career high, and I think his owners look at that and say, what the hell, might as well throw him in the Fountain of Youth. Let's see if lightning strikes. He hasn't shown that he can run anywhere near a buyer that's competitive in this race, and I think it's wishful thinking on the owners and trainers' part, and I think he's a toss for me. I don't see any reason to use him. So now let's take a look at the top 5 and see who we like. The top 5 for the Fountain of Youth are, of course, number 1 is Forte. I don't think he's going to be in optimum condition for this race, but you have to use him given his past performances and prior record. I think he still will factor in the exotics. We're definitely going to try to beat him, but I think you do have to use him based upon his history. Number 2 is Mage. I think we're going to use this horse. I think there's a good possibility this one could wire the field, and I like the odds that we're probably going to get. So we want this one in the mix to be lone on the lead and hopefully can outlast the field. Number 3 is General Jim. I think he's coming off a premium effort. I think he's ready to take another move forward. He's got good class, good competitive numbers. And he's trained by Shug McGahee, and he wouldn't be in this race unless he thought he had a good chance to win. So he's a definite use. Rocket Can, just on the grit and on the competitiveness that he's shown, I'm going to keep him in the mix. Probably will get a price that a little short from what I think he probably deserves, given the light buyer he had in the Holy Bull. But I want to keep him in the mix, and I think he's got a better value than Blazing Sevens does, coming off debuting in his 3-year-old year at 7 to 2. So that's the main reason. And again, our enigma, Cyclone Mischief. If he runs a good race, we're going to get him at a nice price. He definitely has the talent to be competitive here. The question is if he's going to give an A effort. I'm going to roll the dice at 12 to 1. Why not? But as I mentioned, there are certainly some other options here. And you can find some good value, but just make sure you demand it if you're going to select one of the other horses. So that's the way we see the Fountain of Youth. It's a wide open race for the reasons stated. Basically having some of the primary contenders debuting at 3. We've seen this year that hasn't been exactly a great spot to be. So that might offer some really good opportunities to bet against with some value. And like I say, I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer with a lot of these. There are very few that you can just toss outright. So I think there's a lot of different ways to go, and hopefully I've imparted some knowledge to you that'll help you along the way. We've got some more preps this week. We've got the Gotham, and we've got the San Felipe. I looked at the San Felipe preliminarily, and pretty good field. National Treasure, amongst other. The Baffert, I think, has got 5 in the race, or Baffert transfers, I guess now they are. So that looks like a pretty good one, and that should really define things for us for the California set. I hope you like what you saw, and again, thank you for the viewership. And if you do like what you see here, please like and subscribe. It really helps us out. I'll be in touch with you later this week with a couple more videos, so I'll talk to you then.